Zombie apocalypse.
Hey, what's up, Tsunami Squad? This is Johnny Tsunami coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be talking about New World. So I'm really excited for New World. This video is going to be covering like what is New World exactly, what's fun about it, the pros, the cons, potential improvements that Amazon could make to the game. I'm also going to cover the price and release date as well as my personal experience and personal opinion. And then just a couple little, fun tidbits at the end about the game that you guys may want to know with the game releasing here soon. So let's talk about New World. What is New World? So I actually went ahead and pulled up the description that Amazon put up to best describe it. So New World, they have it down here in the description, says explore thrilling open world MMO, so kind of like World of Warcraft. Filled with danger and opportunity, where you'll forge a new destiny for yourself as an adventurer shipwrecked on the supernatural island of Aeternum. Aeternum. That sounds right. Aeternum. Let's go with that. Endless opportunities to fight, forage, and forge await you among the island's wilderness and ruins. Channel supernatural forces or wield deadly weapons in a classless, real-time combat system, and fight alone, with a small team, or in a massed army for PvE and PvP battles. The choices are yours to make. I think that description really sums it up as far as what the game is. So it's an open world MMO like World of Warcraft, RuneScape. I only throw in RuneScape because this game reminds me an awful lot of RuneScape, but yeah, like Final Fantasy XIV, other games like that, open world MMO. And it's in third person, so you can kind of see in the background of my video here. All right, so let's go back to the first question. What is New World? New World takes place in like a colonial time setting. Kind of reminds me of like when, the English and Spanish conquistadors kind of went and discovered North and South America. It kind of takes place around that time frame, but with magic in the land, in Aeternum. The thing that's really fun about New World, I would say, is the combat, weapon trees, crafting, expeditions, and then they've got a pretty neat fast travel system. Okay, let's talk about the combat system. So, combat's really fun. It's a real-time system, which means it's not taking place like on a turn-based system or anything like that. As far as PvE goes, you by yourself or you and a group of buddies can go and kill ads or mobs, however you want to call it. You might hear some lingo that I pull from World of Warcraft because I played that for quite some time. Or you can do PvP and you can group up with your teammates, your buddies, and you guys can go out into the world and fight other PvP marked players. So one really cool thing about the system is the PvP system, you can turn it on and off, so you don't have to PvP if you don't want to. You can go out and just focus on the crafting or the storyline or the questing, side questing, stuff like that. Or you can turn on PvP and make it more challenging. There is a little bit of a bonus to doing everything you want to do with PvP on. I believe there's an experience bonus. But combat itself is a pretty fun system. Just kind of looping in the improvements or cons as part of this. The combat system can feel a little janky at times, where an ability that you use should have hit that didn't. I'm sure they're going to make improvements. I mean, Amazon is a trillion-dollar company, so I'm sure at some point they're going to be able to vastly improve what the combat system currently is and what it should be. All right, let's talk about weapon trees. So weapon trees are really cool. If you're looking at my screen right now, you can kind of see we've got a bunch of different weapons in here, and I'm sure they're adding more. But each weapon has its own tree, and you get skill points for each of the weapons that you use. So for me, for example, I use the rapier and the spear, as well as the ice gauntlet quite a bit, and a little bit of the hatchet, but I didn't use the warhammer at all. I didn't really use the great axe, and so you kind of saw there that I didn't have many points in those. But when you come up here under attributes, you can actually see what attributes kind of work into each weapon, so that if you're deciding to focus on a specific attribute, which just from my beta testing, from what I've heard, I would recommend that you only focus on like 2 at a time. You buff up those two and focus on the weapons that fall under those. So I put a lot of focus into dexterity and intelligence because I focused on using the rapier and the ice gauntlet. And it kind of shows you next to dexterity, intelligence, like these are the weapons that will benefit from you increasing the points here. So that's a really cool system. The weapon trees themselves have a bunch of different skills for all of the different weapons on your playstyle. So if you wanted to use the hatchet, for example, but you wanted to be a more long-range fighter, there are like throw hatchet abilities, versus if you want to be a more up-in-your-face kind of player, there are berserk abilities that make you take less damage and deal more damage, that kind of thing. So the weapon tree system's really cool. And really plays well with the combat system. Alright, let's talk about crafting. So if you're looking at my screen right now, I just went over to the trade skills tab, and here under the trade skills you can see some really cool stuff. My camera in the bottom right is not blocking an additional skill, so that last one in the bottom right is tracking and skinning. So these are all the different types of trade skills you can have. I'm not going to read them off the screen. You guys can see them. The only one I didn't really work on was furnishing. Fishing also says level 0, but I ended up doing quite a bit of fishing as well. And in future guides, I'm planning on doing a more detailed, this is weaponsmithing, this is armoring, these are the refining skills you need for that one, these are the gathering skills you need. But as of right now, just to kind of talk about a general overview of crafting, you've got, you know, weaponsmithing and armoring and engineering pretty much go hand in hand. Jewel crafting and arcana go pretty hand in hand. And then cooking, I would kind of put it in a class by itself, as well as furnishing, I would put that in a class by itself. But it's a really fun system. I believe they go up to level 200 for some skills, 150 for others, and 100 for some. And with each tier that you kind of hit, like level 25, 50, that kind of thing, there's new things that you can craft or gather or unlock or track. So the crafting system is just really intricate, really beautiful. I love it. My favorites were obviously the tracking and skinning, mining, smelting, just because I really wanted to be a beneficial teammate to my friends that were also playing the game. I wanted to be the guy that they could kind of go to and say, hey Johnny, I need a new chest piece, I need a new sword, I need this or that, and I could go, okay, you know what, give me half an hour, if you can shoot me the materials over, I will get right on that, and I can use the fast travel currency Azoth to also build better weapons. You can use Azoth to give additional perks to your weapons or armor and stuff like that. And so I remember this one bag that I crafted to have additional weight capacity. I was able to use Azoth to make it so that whenever I was holding ore, like mining ore, in my inventory, the ore itself would have a lighter weight to it so that I could carry more at a time. So that way you can kind of have bags for when you want to focus on crafting or when you want to focus on gathering, that kind of thing. So really, really cool system. Let's see if I can show you guys a clip of what the crafting system kind of looks like. So here's a short clip of just, you know, the gathering system for like gathering wood. You know, you just run around with your axe and you chop down some trees. With mining, you grab your pickaxe, you find some ores, and you start mining some ores. This is where I feel like it has a major RuneScape vibe to it, because there's a lot of times back in the day, back in like 2007, 2008, I would go out there and just mine logs all day long so I can make some extra cash. All right, and here we can kind of see the crafting system. So right now I'm crafting some lumber so that I can go and create some more armor. And you can see how intricate this system is. So let's see where I run over to next. Looks like I'm going over the workshop, and you can see the workshops all have different tiers because the cities themselves need to be built out in order to craft better material. So here, as I'm scrolling down, you can kind of see how much there really is that you can build. and all the different things that you can build from all these different types of stations. Like you've got the lumber station, the workshop, the stone cutting table, the forge, you know, a ton of different stations to work at. And I would say that the crafting is probably the most intricate crafting system I've seen in most of the games that I've played in my last 20 years of gaming. So next up, let's talk about expeditions. So expeditions are the dungeon system, essentially, the PvE dungeon system. I had the opportunity of participating in a couple dungeon runs for literally just 2 or 3 different kinds of dungeons. But for the most part, they tell you how many people are required for it. The dungeon that we ran required 3 people, but you could have a max of 5, and we went ahead and took advantage of that and played with 5 people. Within the dungeon itself, you know, you fight ads, I would say kind of solve puzzles a little bit. The puzzles aren't really that intricate, but you would go in and, you know, fight these monsters, make your way towards the end of the dungeon to fight the dungeon boss, so that you could get a shiz ton of loot. I mean, it's like any other dungeon crawler or game that has a dungeon within it, like World of Warcraft. Communication's definitely key. Sometimes when you're playing with randos like we were, we got to the final boss, and you know, it was a very powerful boss where you would mostly want to, you know, grab aggro or get the boss's attention and run around the room without getting hit. But people who didn't know that or wouldn't communicate with us didn't know that, and so they would, you know, get hit and down by the boss, and we'd have to start the whole fight over, which kind of sucks. So communication is definitely key in a dungeon. Expeditions, there's really not much I can say about that. It's a really cool system that they've added in since the alpha last year or 2 years ago. I can't remember exactly when that was, but I did play during the alpha and the beta. And during the alpha, they didn't have that system. Amazon took a lot of feedback from different players and added in a more intricate PvE system because it was really a little more focused towards PvP, in my opinion. And then we've got the fast travel system where if you open up the map, you can pretty much visit any place that you've gone to before, and they've added in these shrines that are other random fast travel points that you can access. The only way to fast travel is if you're already at a point where you could fast travel, a town for example. If you're within a town, you can fast travel to another location. You can't just go out into the world and fast travel back. However, you can utilize the recall system, which is you set a main town as basically your main hub, and every 15 minutes, I believe, is the cooldown on that. Every 15 minutes or 30 minutes, I can't remember for sure. You can use that recall system to go back to your main hub. So really nice fast travel system, because once you recall, if you do need to fast travel elsewhere, you can do that. And you use a currency called Azoth. I mentioned that earlier because Azoth is also a material that you can use to improve your crafting, but it is also the fast travel currency. Now there is a cap in the game. I believe the cap is 1,000. I'm not sure if they'll change that or not. But if you're progressing and doing like main story stuff, main story questing and whatnot, you will hit that cap very quickly. All right, so let's talk about the improvements. There are definitely some things that this game could improve on. Personally, I really like the UI. I don't think there's much improvements that could be done there, but really the improvements come down to server issues. There were a lot of moments where servers would have a lot of trouble within the game. There'd be a lot of lag, and during not the last beta that just came out, but the closed beta before that for people who pre-ordered, there were so many server issues that the game would be shut down for maintenance very often. And I'm hoping when the game launches this Tuesday that they're not going to be shutting down the servers as often as they were during the beta. Other improvements that this game could make is kind of what I mentioned earlier during the combat, is just improving the combat system overall. It does feel janky at times. Can really ruin a PvP experience. With PvE, you're just like, all right, whatever. But when you're focused on PvPing, it's definitely important to have smooth combat. really, I don't think there's a whole lot of improvements that Amazon can make on this game other than maybe adding in more weapons, more skills for use. Definitely raising the caps on some things, like raising the Azoth cap so that you can spend it more freely without having to worry about running out. And I think that about covers it as far as improvements go. Now, let's talk about the price and release date. So let me go ahead and pull up another screen here. All right, so on my screen right now, you guys can see, you know, the New World trailer in the background with this really cool helmet that says Eternum on it. So New World Standard Edition is $40, and I believe the Deluxe Edition is $50. Let's go back here. So yeah, we've got $50 for the Deluxe Edition, which in my opinion is pretty cheap considering a lot of console games pricing has been raised from $60 to $70. Where this game is sitting at $40 and there is no subscription. So unlike Final Fantasy XIV and World of Warcraft, you do not have to pay $15 a month to play this MMO. For this MMO, you just pay the $40 up front and then that's all there is to it. You can jump right in there and play the game. Let's talk about release date. So the game is set to come out September 28th of 2021. I know Amazon right here says September 27th, but given what we know from Twitter, from the New World official Twitter site, the 27th is only accurate in Australia, I believe. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So over here, we're looking at the server launch times, and each server looks like it's going to be having a different launch time. So let's use US West as an example. So the US West server launches at 8 a.m. PDT, which is, you know, Pacific time, and that would be 11 Eastern time for the US West server. But the US East server launches at 8 a.m. Eastern time, which is 6 a.m. Western server time, or Pacific Standard Time. And so it looks like each server is launching completely separately and at completely different times. So to try and make this as simple as possible, they're all launching separately, but that does not give an advantage for a player on the East Coast versus a player on the West Coast, because you're only playing with people within your server. So let's check out the server list to kind of show you more what I mean. So this is the server list for the US East side, or the North American East side, and let's use Valhalla as an example. So a player whose game goes live 8 a.m. Eastern time, which is again 6 a.m. Western time. If you create a character in Valhalla, yes, you get to play for 3 hours more before the Western server goes live, but you're not going to have any interactions with the NA West servers, so there's no advantage or disadvantage to that. Here are the other servers just to show you guys on screen real quick. Here's our West ones. I'm sure popular ones are going to be like Camelot and Yggdrasil. El Dorado, I'm sure, is going to be popular just based on the names. We've got Central Europe, and we've got Australia and South America. Now, unfortunately, New World has confirmed that they're not going to have any Southeast Asia servers as of right now, but I'm sure as this game gets popular and grows in time that they will eventually launch a East Asia server. But I don't work for Amazon, I don't work with New World, so I can't really say for sure, but that's just my expectation, my prediction of the outcome. All right, so as a quick recap, as far as pricing goes, we're looking at $40 and no monthly subscription, which I think is huge. And then the release date is going to be September 28th, and as far as release time goes, that depends on where you live. So me, I live in Utah, so I belong to the US West server. I'm going to be able to play at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, because that's when the US West servers go live. So even though The East Coast is going to get to play a little bit before me. Again, there's no advantage or disadvantage because servers are completely separate from any kind of PvP or PvE standpoint. All right, so let's talk personal opinion and experience. My experience of the game was really enjoyable. I could not put this game down. And if you search on YouTube, there are a ton of other YouTubers out there who talked about how they put in like over 100 hours into this game. I was definitely one of those people as well. I could not get enough of New World, and I am extremely excited for the release here September 28th. My personal opinion of it is I would give it a 5 out of 5, honestly. Like, I understand that the combat system's a little bit janky, and I don't actually know what endgame looks like because I wasn't able to reach it given all the time that I put in. Well, even though I put in so much time, because I just put my focus elsewhere. My focus was a lot on the crafting system, which I really enjoyed. So if you were a big fan of RuneScape, I think you would be a big fan of this game. And if you're a big fan of World of Warcraft, then I would say your opinion could go either way. In some ways, I would say that the combat system in World of Warcraft is probably a little more intricate, a little more fun. But I really enjoyed the combat system in this game. It's a lot of fun playing with other players, but you know, even with the combat system being where it's at, there were moments where I was playing with my friend Dylan and my friend Billy, and we would try to gang up on a single ad or a single player, and it's hard to because you're body blocking the entire time, which causes you to miss your enemy. And we saw that especially in the dungeons, doing PvE stuff, trying to fight a single mini boss or main boss. It's hard for a bunch of melee characters to get together and hit the boss at the same time without running into each other. So you definitely want to maybe keep a balance with some range characters or some range skills in your own personal skill tree, just so that you can switch off and kind of help out where help is needed. I definitely think that the game deserves a try, at least if you're not too sure, if you're kind of on the fence about whether or not you want to play this game. Because it's only $40, I don't think it's that much of an investment to say, hey, I'm going to give this game a try, and then really give it a good God's honest try. Definitely put some hours into it, see all the ins and outs of all the different things that you can do in this game, because it's pretty in-depth. My next few videos are going to be showing more in-depth guides on things like the crafting system, as well as the combat system and the expedition system, all those different systems within the game. But for now, I just kind of wanted to give you guys a general overview, as well as my personal opinion on this game, and it's a good one. I really love this game, and I definitely think you should give it a try. Go ahead and just spend the $40. Like, try this game out, try to play it with some friends, because it's definitely more enjoyable when you're doing it with friends. And that's pretty much all there is to it. So don't forget to like and subscribe to my videos if you guys want to see more. I'm going to be posting a lot of New World content here in the near future. So if you guys want to see some guides about the crafting system, all the other systems that are within this game, go ahead and subscribe so that you guys don't miss any of my videos. And if there's any kind of video that you want to see, be sure to leave it in the comments below. If you're a friend, hit me up and say, hey man, I'm curious about this system, could you help me answer a few questions? I'll go ahead and make a video out of it, just to help answer your question and help the rest of the New World community learn how to do things. So it's been really fun. Thanks for tuning into my videos, Tsunami Squad, and I'll see you guys in the next one.